lot of people have said things like, oh, I'm hesitant to speak on what's happening in Palestine. Oh, I don't want to pick a side. I don't feel like I know enough. This is such a complicated, nuanced issue. I don't know enough, so I'm not going to say anything. And in general, that's a good thing. We should not speak on things we do not know. That's what gets a lot of people in trouble on the internet in the first place. And I'm not speaking now because I think I'm some type of expert. In fact, I'm the furthest thing from it. I used to say these exact same phrases in an attempt to remain neutral in a situation I feel like I didn't understand. But then I asked myself, and I implore you all to ask yourselves, why you are so conflicted and confused and uninformed on a situation that has been taking place for over 75 years in the age of information. Because not only does the information given to us tell us a lot, but who's giving it to us tells us even more about the context of a situation. For example, when the United States, an incredibly pro-Israel country that is built on the backs of imperialism and colonialism, says that this situation is complicated, confusing, difficult to grasp, there's no real right side, both sides are equal powered, both sides are in the wrong, etc., you might want to double check that. Because they have 101 social and political reasons to back Israel, but practically none to back Palestine. And so for decades, they've been covering up Palestinian atrocities by saying things like, these are the consequences of conflict, or this is what happens in a war-torn area. And when something happens to Israeli citizens, it's, oh no, the innocent, oh no, the horror, oh no, all the people being killed, as opposed to all the people who have just died. And when situations happen like what we're seeing right now, when Palestinian forces enact violence and Israel meets that violence with greater and more detrimental violence, the conversation is now, oh, but we want peace on both sides. What a nuanced, complicated issue. And it is, but it's not as hard as we think. And we know this because we were quick to take a side when Russia began to invade Ukraine because they felt like they had some claim to the land. Information that we're being fed and the reality of the situation are not aligning, and it's causing a lot of cognitive dissonance in us. And so instead of confronting that head on, we decide to take the neutral, well, I don't know enough, so I'm not going to say anything stance. And I get it, but push past it. And if you can't do that, just really sit for a second and ask yourself where you're getting such information from, who's giving it to you, and what motivations they would have to tell you the stories that they're telling. Because if we keep letting history get told by the people in power, a lot of what's actually happening is going to get left out.
Listen, you have to know something. Yeah. Everybody here, any human being in this area, on all the world, not against peace. Everybody like life. Even Hamas in Gaza, they like life. They like peace. But peace, not like what you want. Both of them. If I want to buy something from you, if I create for your price and I am happy for your things, I will buy it. So our situation here, what's going with the Israeli, we are not against of Israel as people, Jewish. We are against of occupation. If you remember what's happened with Russia and Ukraine, look, 1 year Russia, they have a problem and they're afraid from NATO come close to, they're going inside Ukraine. All the world and all the arming of the world against of Russia. How come I am refugee in my land? Why I'm lost my house? Did I make something for Israel? Did my Hitler was my cousin? Did I make anything for the Jews in the world? Me and my family and the Palestinian.
Do you have hope for peace?
My age is 50 years. I have 7 kids. No hope. If I told I have hope, I'm joking. And if you want to say the truth, there is no justice in the world. If you are strong, everybody afraid from you. If you are not, everybody kill you. They make you like this by your foot. That's what's happened. There is no peace, my friend. If you want to see the peace, come to our camp where I live. You will cry. You will cry. You see our peace.
What are the conditions like in the camp?
My friend, they're waiting for water. Water, you know what's been water?
Yeah.
In Europe, the dog, he live in good condition. Dog, animals. How come a human being don't have water to drink?
I asked you about anger. What about love? You got love in your heart?
Well, I love everybody, even the Jewish. They kill us. They destroyed our houses. I'm not looking to fight. I'm not looking to kill. I am against violence. We love your kids to live in good condition, the Israeli side and the Palestinian. We are against violence. We don't want to see more blood. We want to destroy this wall. You come to me, I come to you. That's it. That's my hope.
Thank you, my brother.
My
Thank
English
you.
not so nice.
No, it's pretty good.
Hola, Colombia, arriba Colombia, me gusta Colombia. ¿Cómo está? ¿Todo bien?
there. Did you recently make a video about Israel, Palestine, and Hamas where you said that terrorism is bad, which it is, but the Israeli government isn't good, which it is not, and there's a lot of gray area here that we should all be exploring, and now you're being inundated by death threats from Zionists? Then wow, you're just like me. I've been in this situation before, and there's two things that you can do. You can stop talking about the thing that got you into this situation and go back to telling stories about teaching kindergarten, which is fine, or you can talk about it way more, and I'm here to do the same. Get a couple things clear right off the bat before we start. Why do I have this tone talking about serious topics? Why are you being sarcastic? Why are you making jokes? Because I'm not an academic journal. I'm Maddie, and I teach kindergarten, and I hate ethnic cleansing. So that's the energy we have here. Secondly, if you enter this comment section and you say the word anti-Semitic, I'm going to know that you watch way too much Fox News. Equating anti-Zionism with anti-Semitism is actually in itself pretty anti-Semitic, so knock that off right now. Let's get down to the brass tacks. I thought that I made this clear in my original video, but I forgot that the Venn diagram of people who use social media and have the listening comprehension skills of a thumb is more or less a circle. Acts of terror committed by Hamas against the Israeli people are unconscionable and horrific. They are not justified by any type of political or historical context. Here's where we run into trouble with the discourse, I find. In a lot of people's minds, if you are pro-Palestinian rights, you are also pro-Hamas, and that is not the case. I think you would be incredibly hard-pressed to find a person on earth who thinks that Hamas is just doing great work over there. Okay? Good guys fighting the good fight. No. There are, however, a lot of people, myself included, who think that Palestinian people should not have to live in an open-air prison in the Gaza Strip, which they were displaced to by a Zionist regime government run by a wannabe dictator. It's possible to think while also thinking that Israeli people, civilians, should not receive acts of terror. That's in fact what most people who hold pro-Palestinian viewpoints believe. It's also important to note that acknowledging the 7+ decades human rights struggle of the Palestinian people versus the exorbitantly more powerful, more influential, and better funded Israeli government does not detract from the historic and contemporary oppression and displacement of Jewish people. Both of those things can and in fact do exist in tandem. That's the type of nuance that I was saying people need to make room for in this. There are a lot of views way farther this way and way farther this way, and I'm not saying any of those. And maybe I hold some of them, but I'm not going to talk about it because it's polarizing. What's not polarizing is that Palestinian people deserve basic human rights, and Israeli people deserve to not have acts of terror committed against them. The statement, "I stand with Israel," when you mean that you stand against Hamas, holds a lot more cultural, political, and historical weight than you may realize, because the Israeli government is an extremist regime running an apartheid government, and that is not Israeli people's fault, but it is a fucking problem. And that's what I said originally, that's what I'm saying now. I have to go plan a phonics lesson on the letter S. Be blessed.
So here's an architect's point of view about apartheid. You can spot apartheid just by looking at the urban fabric of the land. You can also spot apartheid just by looking at Israel's building codes. The apartheid state, also known as Israel, loves using their building codes, such as implementing red roofs for Israeli citizens. Why, you ask? Oh, let me tell you why. They implement red roofs because the IOF, the occupational forces, don't want to accidentally drone strike one of their own, so the red roof is a identifier between who's Palestinian and who's a settler. Another thing that's pretty crazy in the architectural realm in the urban fabric is the amount of checkpoints there are. There are around 638 temporary checkpoints for Palestinians to go through every single fucking day. There are 129 permanent checkpoints that Palestinians gotta go every single fucking day. One of the most brutal checkpoints known to Palestinians is Checkpoint 300. Checkpoint 300 has a wait time of 7 hours. Checkpoint 300 is located in Bethlehem. At least 60,000 Palestinians go through Checkpoint 300 every single fucking day. Going back to the Gaza Strip real quick. Gaza used to have an airport. It opened in 1998. It was called the Yasser Arafat Airport. Unfortunately, because the apartheid state is a petty bitch, they bombed the airport into oblivion and it closed in 2001. To put this in perspective, there are 6 million Palestinians living in diaspora. There are 2.2 million Palestinians living in the Gaza Strip. There are 3 million Palestinians living in the West Bank. 6 million of those Palestinians living in diaspora cannot return. If so, they are heavily questioned in the Israeli airport for just being Palestinian. And just to put in perspective of what's happening in Gaza right now, it's again 2.2 million Palestinians. Median age is 18. Half of the population is under 15 years old. 97% of the water is undrinkable, okay? It takes 15 years to build one water well in Gaza. As of 2014, the apartheid state has destroyed over 215 water wells. And to conclude from an architectural point of view, Palestinians do not have the freedom of movement on their land. They do not have the right to build their own shelter on their land. They do not have the right to farm on their land. So to summarize this up, if the international community really gave a shit about Palestinians, they would have acknowledged the Palestinian grievances long ago.